I'll hold this up here so you can read it because it's more complicated than the putting a Overwatch or Apex or GunCo Trigger shoes are like this. It's more complicated. There, you can hit pause and read that right there. So, I've never had so much problems putting a trigger shoe on something before. So after I put it on there and close it up on the gun, uh, the trigger, it wouldn't go. It couldn't pull it. It could like just barely didn't. It wouldn't. You pull it against the wall, and nothing happened. So I followed the instructions. I'm not gonna hold them up again. It says the screw that's on there. It says it's in the package, but it actually was already in the trigger, the back of the trigger. You're not gonna be able to see it on here. I don't believe you can see it in there. From there, no, you're not gonna be able to see it. If you want to see what the trigger shoe looks like. It says screwed all the way in until you have no slack to where there's absolutely no over travel, free travel, or reset, whatever. Like so I put it all the way like that. Um, after first off, I put it just flush, like I said, and I couldn't get it to work, so I had to take the back plate off, take out the striker, and keep taking this gun apart. I don't know. I'm gonna say almost 10 times. I don't know how many times I took it apart because it tells you take it all the way down in there, and if it doesn't work, take it out, and then turn it down with a little Allen wrench they give you, a quarter turn. I mean, if I had done that, I'd been doing this 50 times. So I was turning it like a full turn, and so I'll tell you, it's gonna be what it ends up being. So I kept taking it back and playing with it, and I finally got where I thought I had it good on there. And I even called my dad up and said, "Oh, you're gonna love this right here. It's like has no reset. It's just you let off the pressure of the trigger and it resets." And oh, this trigger's good. And at that time, I still had I had left the Apex connector in there, which I've tried all the connectors by now. Started putting the clock ones in there, the standard, the minus, and I ended up with the dot is what I ended up going with. But I'll get to that. So, but then it started getting as I pull the trigger. Then it's like, oh, it's delayed reaction for it to go off, and it was because I'd and then I'd get it to where it almost didn't go off, and I'd like it'd be up against the wall, and I'd like squeeze it kind of hard, and then I could get it to go off, and I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. And that was after I dry fired it probably like 60 times or something. You know, I'm gonna dry fire the hell of it. And I'm like I said, I'm gonna go take this out and shoot it before I go with. I'd end up in an Apex trigger back in here. I already smashed the trigger shoe for the one that came with it. Put in one in there because I've never had a problem with any Apexes at all, so I know those are reliable as hell. So I had to keep taking the gun apart, which if I couldn't get the trigger to pull, because I kept backing it out further and further, and I had to keep taking the back plate off and taking the striker out of there, and you know, whatever remove the slide. So finally, here's what I ended up doing. You can see it in here. So what I did do is I did put in all Glock parts back. I took out the Apex ones, so the safety plunger is back to the Glock one. I had them all shined up before I ever put the Apex ones in here. But I did go with because it says when you're trying to find troubleshooting on the Johnny Glocks thing on his website, it won't show you installation videos. There's a phone number to call, which I could have done. It was like 6 o'clock in the evening by the time, and so I don't think I was going to call anybody at that. And besides, I'd like to try to figure stuff out before I ever try to call somebody. Um, I can't find any videos on his trigger shoes. Anybody actually installing this on there? Not this one. So I finally ended up. I went, because at first I tried to just keep going with the Glock uh, safety plunger spring and striker spring, because the ones that he has are to make it lighter and easier. And when I did the Ram Tacticals, some of these trigger kits, they come with those, and I still use just the Glock ones, okay? So I don't need to try to make it to where it's a hair trigger or whatever like that. So, anyways, with his, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. But I took that screw out totally. How I got this thing to work, how I liked it, is I took the dang screw out. The reset is pretty quick, but it's not instant like what it was. You just let pressure off, and it was going. I don't know why you can see this right here, but it's not really mushy. It just kind of goes just a little distance right here, but pretty smoothly. And then this is a crisp break, like a glass rod break. So now I really like it. It's pretty good as the end result on that. I'm gonna dry fire up the hell of it, and then I'm gonna take it to my friend's house in Azle, Texas, and shoot the fuck out of it, and make sure it's good before I give it back to my dad, like this. But I went ahead and said, okay, I put in his striker spring and his safety plunger spring. The ones that I'm showing you in here are actually the Glock ones that came with the gun to begin with that are in there. And I don't know if you can really see it. It's sitting there at the, yeah. You can see, yeah, see that little tiny thing right there? It's the little screw. It's for you to adjust to get it exactly how you want it to, try to get all the over travel removed. I removed the whole thing because this thing's still the Apex one, everybody else. Those things have lots of freedom. The one that's in there moves about like this, barely. And then when you tighten the screw all the way in there, it does not move. Okay, so by taking that screw out, the maximum movement that it can ever have is probably about like that much. And I took the screw totally out. It's sitting inside here. So, I mean, I don't have to like, oh, I know these trigger companies like Ramm Tactical, they always want to give you the option to try to make their trigger just a little bit better than the other guy's trigger, right? Oh, I got to have the best. Well, no, I still want reliability. So, anyways, as you can see here, trigger does not go forward near as far as other Glocks, right there. And when you pull it, this gun was totally tested again. You can see it's like almost there, but it doesn't touch. It doesn't touch. You can see light through it. I didn't mean to do that one. I think this one will now be the dullest one. I don't know. But there is light. It never touches. But it goes back pretty far.